trades for all of Berkshire, was there, and I knew I was leaving town on Sunday night, and Mark says, what do we do next week? And I said, here's what we do. And on Monday, we always buy Treasury bills. We bought about $2 billion of them. We got a 4.99% bond equivalent yield. But the only question is whether we buy 3 months or 6 months. And I tell him to use his own judgment on that. So Monday, I was here, and he sent me a sheet as to Tuesday, he does the same thing. And
all right, Warren, get to the point. Get to the point. Hey, last time here, he's taking too long to get to the point. It's pointless going on. All right, so if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Being right means being without you. I'd rather live a wrongdoing life. Your mama and daddy say it's a shame. He's a downright disgrace. And all... I can't remember the rest. Anyway... Wickedums, you know, it's a lot like calling an earthquake with seismic data. You know, you're probably going to be wrong. But what happened Monday, yesterday, starting this morning, that's what it's going to look like when this finally breaks and goes to the upside. I'm not saying it's over this time, because their desperation shows. Oh, yes, it shows. I can't live. I can't live if living is without you. I can't give. I can't give anymore. Oh, I think I put it up here. Well, anyway, I'll show it to you here. See where it stopped on the rally? It stopped at 180, which is the 50-day moving average. And then it really kind of stopped a little bit lower. But anyway, the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average are approximately just under 180. This chart's pretty hard to see. So anyway, that's where they tried to get through this morning, and it opened in the opening trading. Now, to my memory, I think it was 185 before the market opened, but it was a small amount of stock. And then all of a sudden they hit it with 47,000 or something like that, 1 or 2 minutes to go to the open, and it still opened up. Well, here we see that they've had some success in bringing it back down on the day. But man, what a Pyrrhic victory. All right, so I don't know if that answers your question, Wickedums. But for me, looking at this, I'll zoom in. I don't see any trouble in that chart yet. Not that the chart's going to matter once they're buying in. The stock is 160, so they've successfully gotten it down 10 cents. But there's next to no volume over the last 2 hours. It's 1,060,000 shares. And 159 to 161. They're expending a lot of their criminality to keep this down. All right, I'm gonna go back to the top. Hey, Leanne. Hey, Dan Johnson. Mo Alvarez, thank you for kindly saying that I'm young, which we both know is a bit of a avoidance of the issue. Hey, Derek Edelman, Mark Constanzo, Stony Boys, all right, you guys. Hey, AC, Scott, the one, hello, hello again, hello, just called to say hello. I think about you every night. You're there alone. Sorry, I'm here alone. You're on the phone. Hello. All right, Paul Kovalchik, Ricky Brogan, hello, hello. Derek, Ryan, Joe Capote, Ralph Fahn. Well, Wickedums, I tried to answer that. I don't know that my sense that this might be it is wrong yet, but I'd like to see some follow through by the end of the day. I'd like to see a 2 million share day, but we'll see what happens. MKC. Any news? No, Jorge. The only news on the dividend is I confirmed that it's still anticipated to be April 15th, which, as Matt pointed out to us all, effectively makes it April 14th, this Friday. Today would be the last day to buy it with a dividend, but we're already in it. And I just confirmed that it is, in fact, still on the table. And the couple of people I talked to believe it's going to be approved. But Matt might be right. It may be a situation where the times run out. But I just don't see how they cannot approve it. What are they going to do? Anyway, we'll see. I guess there's still time today. Hey, Eddie Eagle. Thank you, Sergio. Hi to everyone in your life, AC. You make me so very happy now that you are in my life. Was that Blood, Sweat, and Tears? Yeah, I'm glad, AC. You did call it Steve, which is always impressive. That Moe's kid, good afternoon, good afternoon. Joking. All right, you were. I was only joking, my dear. Looking for a way to hide my fears. What kind of fool was I? I could never win, never win. Bum, bum. Stony Bones. Michelle. Look what they've done to my song, Ma. Look what they've done to my song. It was the only thing I could do half right. And now it's gonna come out all wrong, Ma. Look what they've done to my song. Well, let's look at Finger. There, somebody bought just under 1,000 calls on Finger. And in a normal world, imagine a world where everything is normal. That would be a really good sign. But I think to my read of it, it means that they're setting it up to play games. But let me look at the last price. My battery is running down, so let me just do quick surgery here before I forget. It's a gorgeous day today in your nation's capital, where the criminals crime at will, and I'm not talking about the local population. GTII 162 to 164, last trade 163. Let's look at finger, last trade 161. So you're right. You're absolutely right, Michelle. Look what they're doing to finger. Steve. No, it's not normal at all. There's no real price discovery. I was on a space call. I joined it a little bit late last night with Busybody and Ham and Avid, and I think Ace was on there, and I can't remember. Most of the time I was walking my dog, so I didn't scroll down. But the topic of the charts came up, and I have to give Avid kind of, without being arrogant, he kind of gave himself some props for being, I don't know, correct 9 out of 10 times or something like that. And I think he's right. He's called these things pretty well. Look at COSM. If people had listened to him and gotten out at 60 cents, they would have been, well, even 40 cents. They would have been just fine on the way up. So I think he does a really good job. But anyway, he made the point that you got to buy it around $1, or even as it under $1, or as it approaches $1, and then look at it's up 50%. It's a nice trade. Well, Ham came on like an old curmudgeon, and he said, come on, charts don't work here. So this isn't about charts. This is a potential life-changing trade. It's not about charts. And it's your business if you want to trade it for 50 cents or $1. But and he gave the example of some stock, I forget which one, where everyone would call him so happy. They made $5 on the trade. It might have been GME, and then the stock went to 500. And so that's what his point of view was. Late to the game, I punched in and said something, forget what, and basically along the lines of, I thought this, make sure your GTC orders are in. I think the action Monday and Tuesday or yesterday, I was talking yesterday, so it's the same day, mean that this stock is on the verge of exploding to the upside. I said something like that. I don't think it was met with all that much credulity. But I was thinking about it afterward, and it seems to me that the criminals have charts too. And so if they can drive it down through certain points or up to create FOMO, down to create selling, maybe that's what's going on. Anyway, that was my little point I wanted to make. Now I'm going to have, that reminds me, Ham's coming on at 3:30, so we'll listen. I'm going to have a bit of a call on Logic and Go Logic with Brent's son and Chris Lecoisier and small cap investors, and maybe I can get this other gentleman on who's really really sharp and knows the story cold. I'll try to get him to come on if he will. And then maybe tomorrow or the next day. And what reminded me is if we do that, I'll do it live like this. But then maybe if any of you are in the stocks, you could I'll post it on Twitter, if you could retweet it so we can just get it out to as many people. My bottom line, there was some news on GoLogic today, which, let's just read it. It was really clear. Here was the chart. Here was the chart on GTII earlier, and you can see it looks like a matchstick right down there. It's just the pause for the cause at the 50-day moving average. Trying to see if there's anything you can really garner out of this chart. And to me, there's not much. It's just they're trying to make sure it doesn't break through here, in my judgment, because that may be signs on their computers to buy in. It may trigger other buyers. I tell you, once it breaks through that, what's now resistance, it was support. Now it becomes resistance again. But once it breaks through that, and you're able to maybe get the stock to run to, I'll try to pick a number, I don't know, maybe 220, 210 to 225, and then it'll pull back and try to penetrate what will at that point be support. I think the support will hold. And I don't know how many little attempts it needs, maybe only one, maybe two. And then it breaks through. And I don't see much of a reason why the stock can't just puncture 225 this time. And then that 275 level has been a limitation, but apparently the warrants have expired. If that's true, that's a meaningless number now. So I don't see a reason why this can't go through 325 and head up to $4 and higher, where I expect there will be some selling. GoLogic announced today, that's GOLQ, a U.S.-based global provider of fintech and consumer data analytics, provided an update to shareholders who received shares in GoLogic as the result of GoLogic's spin-off from Logic last year, and which are currently restricted from sale. That happened 2 Decembers ago. If certain conditions are met, SEC Rule 144 permits the sale of restricted and controlled securities without the need to comply with the registration or prospectus delivery requirements of the Securities Act of 1933. Now, you guys understand that when I want to show my eyeball again, but you understand when Kurt Kramer sells, he doesn't bother with any of this. He breaks the rules because he thinks he's found a gray area or a loophole. Well, no, he knows he's violating the rules. He's just trying to see if he can find a way credibly, if he can get an attorney to say, my young boy from Great Clam, New York, didn't know what he's doing. He's a citizen, Your Honor. Anyway, if conditions set forth in the rule are met and it is determined that GoLogic is a mandatory filer with the SEC, then Rule 144 would be available after the 1-year anniversary of the company filing on Form 10. Certain information that includes the assets acquired in January 2021 from Logic. The company believes this required Form 10 information was filed in aggregate through its filing of a Form 8K on January 27, 2022, a year ago, Form 10K on April 13, 2022, a year ago, and Form 10Q on May 20, 2022, almost a year ago. And this thereby establishes May 20th, 2023 as the 1-year anniversary of such Form 10 information filing. Currently, the company is not a mandatory filer. The company believes it will become a mandatory filer if and when the registration statement on Form S3 filed last week is declared effective, and it would remain a mandatory filer during the year in which such effectiveness was declared. As part of this process, the company is awaiting SEC comments to the S3. Alternatively, the company could file a registration statement on Form 8A-12G. I hope this is all clear to you. And it would become mandatory filer after 60 days. Rule 144 contains many provisions, some of which apply to the company and others that apply to shareholders, with some provisions of Rule 144 considered complicated. The company's comments about Rule 144 herein reflect its position and belief with respect to the applicability of Rule 144. However, GoLogic encourages those shareholders looking to remove the restrictive language from their shares to seek advice of legal counsel, which should be not that expensive, regarding the availability of Rule 144 for this purpose. GoLogic interim CEO Brent Sun indicated, quote, we very much appreciate the participation and support of all our shareholders as we've worked diligently to add shareholder value over the past year. While Rule 144 technically provides the ability to remove the trading restriction, we recognize it does not guarantee liquidity nor a fair market value for the shares. These are among the important reasons we have taken a twofold approach to deliver both shareholder value and create a path to more liquid and favorable market for shareholders. To help support liquidity and fair value, we have begun the process of applying to list our stock on a national securities exchange, the New York Stock Exchange American, which is good. The NYSE, I think, is good, but once it's the American NASDAQ, they're all combined together. I don't know. To deliver greater shareholder value, we have been rigorously pursuing an acquisition strategy with significant success. For GoLogic, this strategy led to the acquisition of Gamma Ray in March. As reported, Gamma Ray brought to GoLogic a profitable business with strong cash flow, driven by an estimated $20 million annualized revenue run rate and nearly $800 million in customer financial assets. Gamma Ray also introduced a pipeline of highly attractive, accretive, and/or tech-enabling acquisition targets, 5 of which have now been announced and are in various stages of negotiation and closing. We'll get to ham, don't you worry. It looks like I missed something part here. Anyway, let me just go back. Yeah, I missed one. By every measure, the shareholder value Gamma Ray has brought to GoLogic has been phenomenal, continued Sun. Given Gamma Ray's recent closing, it will take a process of integration and the next quarter or so of financial reporting for this value to begin to be revealed in real terms. But we are confident that we have established a company with a solid foundation of assets, both financial and human, and with an exciting growth strategy to be executed over the next year and beyond. We anticipate a listing on the NYSE American, which would bring many benefits to our shareholders, including a whole new world of investors and equity analysts discovering a business that we expect to have approximately $15 billion in customer financial assets under advisement or management, and targeting a top-line revenue number exceeding $100 million and profitability. We believe this transformational journey has only just begun. We've only just begun to live. We believe this transformational journey has only just begun to unlock tremendous shareholder value. GoLogic is a U.S.-based global provider of fintech and mobile solutions for digital transformation and consumer data analytics. Its software platforms are comprised of CreateApp, a mobile app development and publishing platform for small to medium-sized businesses, however you pronounce that, Atazgo, a hyperlocal app based on delivery platform, Atos Pay, an e-wallet for mobile top-up, e-commerce purchases, bill payment, and microfinance, and Radix, a big data analytics platform. Through the company's subsidiary, Gen5 Financial Group, and its subsidiaries, Gen5 Group, which is part of its recent acquisition of Gamma Ray, GoLogic provides wealth management, direct-to-consumer lending platforms, mortgage brokering, accounting, taxation advice, reporting, structuring, and solutions for individual investors and small to medium businesses in Australia. Through the Gen5 Group, the company also offers compliance services under its Australian financial service license, including advice regarding managed investment schemes. Down in Australia, schemes are a positive word that doesn't have the negative connotation that we give it. Self-managed superannuation funds, and other ancillary services. All right. Had enough? Have you had enough? That's the news today in GoLogic. All right, we've got 10 minutes, 12 minutes until the hamster comes on. GTII is trading at 160, no volume, 1,080,000. So when I came on, it was 1,060,000. So 20,000 shares or less have traded since we came on this together. And just to put it on the record, GoLogic is trading for $1.75. The bid is 180, the ask is 199. Are you out of your mind? And the volume is 20,980 shares. And VOCL is rebounding nicely from a low of 10 cents, 10.51 cents to 11.45 cents. Okay, I'll try to read your questions. Robin like a boss playa, Roland like a boss playa. There's no word on the dividend. I've checked all day. There's no negative word either, and I expect it to be approved. But there have been different points of views expressed here that it won't be, but I think it will be approved. Hey, Tom, if a broker has a low GTC price, are we better off? No, I think order entry I think putting the order in your computer is better than calling in, because you're going to get an idiot on the line, or you get someone good, but it's going to take you 30 seconds to a minute to explain to her what you want to do. So I would just type in the order and submit it. But one thing you can do, if it starts moving, if they don't accept high GTC orders, just put in a limit order for the day, and then you can change it during the day. Instead of starting from scratch, you can just go to your orders, hit the order, edit, change the price, submit again. And I think that's but don't always use a limit. Always use a limit. I think that's the best way to do it. Rolling like a boss playa. I'm still buying. End of day. You know, before we got on these calls together, I didn't know what EOD was. So it shows you what an idiot I am. Yeah, Pete Tong, I did know that they're available from FOIA, but I still don't know if they're available instantaneously. I don't understand FOIA. I don't know if there's a certain amount of time that has to go by. So I'm ignorant on that. But yes, I always knew time and sales were available at request. Yeah, Jenny L, it's how'd you like to make, how's it go? How'd you like to make $50 the hard way? But yeah, it's not fun when I've made those mistakes. One time I was trying to enter a sell ticket and only wanted to sell, a small portion of my position. This was a year ago. And they automatically put in the entire amount, and I hit it without looking, and I sold everything. I was like, I got really mad. But yeah, it's always good to second check. When I used to write orders at Merrill Lynch, you get the order, you read it back to the client, you write it, you read as you're at your desk. I would reread it as I'm walking to the tube station. I would reread it, and then I'd get a tube, and before I put it in, I'd reread it again. I had a friend, a great guy. They were always calling him. I forget what his AE number was. They were always calling him because he would leave something off. He was so spacey. He was a really good broker. He still is a great, great broker. But I always try to reread the order at least a second time, because once you hit the button, it's fast acting to acting. I don't know, Pete, if you're talking to me either. Let me see. Oh, you're talking to M. Casey. I bet you were something before electricity. Dan A., I'm not sure. And I have nothing in my memory to give you. I have nothing left to give you. I have nothing in my memory about how long the restriction is. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. But remember, the point of the restriction is to try to catch out the system. So hopefully you'll have had an opportunity to sell your entire position at much higher prices, and it'll be an afterthought. But typically a restriction has to be at least 6 months. Wow, Lincoln's Ghost. He was a national vice president at Merrill Lynch. I'm sorry he's gone. Yeah, Merrill was those were some of the best years of my life, I think. I had other good years, but Merrill was quite something, a special place. And the training is superb. And I met a lot of driven, intelligent, hardworking people. It was good. He was a very honest, honorable, and far-reaching broker who worried about the future of our markets. His worry was right. Yeah, Lincoln's Ghost. My experience with everyone I worked with, there were a couple bad eggs. I will admit that. But they didn't last long, or they moved on. I might have known your brother, Lincoln's Ghost. I knew everybody. I regretted leaving, frankly. I regretted leaving. But then I've never liked change very much. There is a ham call today. In 4 minutes. Thanks for reminding. Thanks for reminding. I hope I have the phone number here. If not, I'm going to have to look it up, which will delay everything. I think we're going to have to go with the delay. So here's the phone number. 425. I'll give it to you. 425-436. I don't know what it is with my eyesight. 6326 3766434. All right, let's try it. 3766. Oh, I know that. 37. Yeah, that's right. That's the easy part. I have that part memorized. Okay.
Thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. Please enter your access code followed by the pound.
I'm always glad to be helping people around the world communicate for free. I saw it, Jenny. I'll read it after the call. But you were saying, I think, that some of the insiders were selling their 1% of stock, as they do every month in GTII. Hale Hydra, I worked at order desk for Lind Waldock at Chicago Merck. many years ago, a wild place. That would be cool. I never went down to the floor of the Mercantile Exchange, but I had a friend who I lost track of, but whenever I went to New York, I'd go visit him on the floor of the American Exchange. And it was quieter than the New York, but it was fun to go down there and just walk amongst these guys. Mostly it was men. But I bet it's quiet now because it's all done by computer. But Jenny, I'll get to that. Jenny Rebecca. Arrest warrant out for Putin? Was he caught on computer and videos sleeping with his underage niece? Was he caught taking money from the Ukraine, from China? Was he caught doing business and giving 10% to the big guy? They better go get him. I'm glad our people are.
Welcome back. Let me start off by telling you that not to buy, sell. This is for making short selling information only. You make your own decisions. I can only report to you what we see. All right. I'll start off by GTII today. Just to start off with the complete, utter, fraudulent bear raid attack at 12:35 today, which I was nice enough to record. A couple of people put the charts up. I sent it to Wes Christian. You know, he has people watching the spoofing and all that stuff. But the complete bear raid, they're selling 200,000 at the market. Pete from Philly put up a great post on Twitter showing that, and MMAT, I think it was. The same patterns. You know, these are planned attacks. Again, these aren't computers. These are planned, you know, these are animals that are doing this stuff. You know, they get a bunch of guys with a bunch of firms and they work together. Okay, because it's just not they're hitting a button and just go at it. You know, these guys, then they try to scoop up anybody who bails out. And I told everyone for the 1,000th time, when you put stop losses in there and you got bent over and you got taken out, congratulations, call a cop. You've been robbed. Okay? This is fraudulent trading. This is not Apple Computer. They do it in the big names too, don't get me wrong, but it's very difficult when you have institutions in there buying. When there's an air pocket, this is what they do. They come in, they bear raid it, take you out, steal your money, and you're sitting there saying, what happened? All right? I'm sure somebody had a stop loss at $1.40, got taken out at whatever the low was, $1.35, and that's what they do. Right? This is just a way for them to try to scoop up shares, and then they move it back up. For the last 2 hours, it's not even trading. It's just them going back and forth. A couple of people have taken snapshots of the same prints. 1,200 trades on the bid, 1,200 goes up on the... It's the same nonsense back and forth. Okay? I'll get to the big news at the end, but I'll just keep moving along here. I followed Wolf, WLF, with Yorkville. I followed Yorkville for a while, and they were, we reported on them, making sure they Wolf, and, stock was obviously being held down. Bitcoin rallied, the stock finally popped, and, I don't know all the fundamentals about Bitcoin. I was following it. I know people in it. Again, the CEO just paid $1.36. He's the number one insider in a public company. He just paid $1.36. After they raised money, after they cleaned up everything, whatever they had to do, and the volume has been enormous on this thing, and we know Yorkville was paid off. Remember, toxic lenders that paid off. What happens next? All right, so keep an eye on it. People like to trade other names, and that's why I report on these things. But the common thing that I always report on is when the toxic lender is paid off. Okay, they have no right to a share of stock. That leads me to my next stock, FNGR. Today they announced that Lind Partners is gone, taken out, goodbye, see you later. I got the new data from Tom Ronk, and it's 124 million shares that they could short. Lind Partners has got a little bit of a problem here. They could sit there and say to the high heavens, it's not them. We know it's their cousin, their friend, or some other person that's got ties to them naked shorting. All right? These guys not in the business. Every stock that they've been involved with, they destroy. It's all proven. I put up every day, just so people understand it, there's a stock, BRAG. The only reason I report on it, the day we had the truck at Lynn Partners, the CEO of BRAG went to see Lynn, complaining about all the bad things, all the bad press they're reading about him. That's a personal friend, knows the CEO. We know he was there. He complained. They said, no, it's not us. He walked out, and now I tell everybody, this guy knows all about it. These guys only destroy the stock. And the funny thing is, I report it all the time. Where are the naked shorts? How come they're not attacking BRAG? It's a free shot. Lynn's got $10 million note. They got to convert it back into cash. How are they going to get it? The only way they're going to do it is drive the stock down, eventually get, make all their money back by driving it back down. All right? I don't know how they don't attack it. And the reason they don't attack it, because Lynn has its own group of vultures. If I was naked short and I was in XYZ, why would I go to BRG? I don't control it. Lynn controls this whole game in this one. GTII is controlled from the Kramers and Alpine and friends. Guys that are short, other stocks are not coming in here because they don't have any control if they're not part of the inside crime family. All right? Because they can get you short, they can turn it up, run it up, squeeze you out. They won't. Nobody likes to play in other people's sandboxes. They don't do it. All right? That's why BRAG is a classic. I show it to you. No one jumps in and shorts it. We all know Lynn has a $10 million convertible debenture, toxic note. We all know it's going to be going down, but no other naked shorts will go play here because they don't have access to get stock. Lynn is controlling that. Lynn's friends are controlling it. All right? That's how they work. GTI is controlled by the Kramers, Alpine, and Trend, whoever the offshore thugs are. And we all sit there and say, why are they so brazen? Everyone can see what they're doing. They don't even hide it anymore. All right? Because the people that are hitting the buttons are all offshore. Okay? Instructions are coming from the criminals we mentioned, but they have people, some guy named Hector sitting in a cave. He's calling the shots. Obviously, they don't want their fingerprints on the computers and on the money. All right? So they're having other people do it. They're far away. Eventually, the money trail always goes back to the bad guys, Alpine, the Kramers. These guys are not in the business to do it for free. They're doing it for money. All right? But they have other people doing it. That's why you see the pictures of the Kramers walking around. John Gotti walked around smiling, too, before he went to jail. All right? So don't take that, guys on death row, until they pull them out of the cell, they're all smiles all the time until they have to go. All right, look at the J.P. Morgan trader. I don't want to go to jail. He didn't care while he was spoofing, stealing everybody's money all the years at J.P. Morgan, getting big bonuses, joining all the country clubs and all that bullshit. When it's time to go to jail, they all start to sing, they all start to rat on each other, and that's what's going to happen here. All right, following the money trail, it always leads back to the criminals. They're not doing it for free. All right, they can keep manipulating it up and down. We all can see it. There's no volume. They're trying to create it, wash trades. It's complete fraudulent activity. We all get to see it every day. At the end of the day, all the shares they sell, they got to buy back. A gentleman, I don't know, Knowledge, pays interest, did a report on GTII. It's posted on Twitter. It's a pretty good read. I've posted all the little things that he's missing. The Alpine Fruit, Charles Mayo call, the truck. Add that to the mix, all these things about GTII. And it's a complete story, and you can see where we're going with this. All right, that was. I just wanted to let you know about the GTI bear raid, the finger, what I've seen there. They paid off the debenture. They got rid of these guys. These guys are naked short, 124 million shares in finger. Friends of mine were buying the stock today. All right, they were piling into it. They sold it to them, and then they manipulated it back down. Have we seen that picture before? I told you 1,000 times. Real shorts, let the stocks go higher. Naked shorts, push it lower. You're seeing the same pattern. Okay? There's no dilution. Nothing's going on. The criminals are on their own now. All right? But they move it down. Again, the more they sell, the higher it's going to go. We know the game plan. There's no panic here. It's the same pattern. Now on to the big news of the day. I'm hearing from the high command that the FBI I guess the DOJ are going after. They started an investigation into the MMTLP mess, GTII mess with the DTC. The DTC, I'm told, is involved in this stuff. And again, it's not coming from me, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's come from people I believe that have the knowledge of all this stuff. It's just a matter of time. Okay, this is a big case. There's going to be. I met with the FBI. They told me right to my face, we're not here to get one person. We're here to get the whole network, and we're here to put them in jail. We're not here to put fines. There's no more fines. Okay? This is multi-million-dollar frauds that are being perpetrated against the investors, against the public companies. The DTC, I put William on the phone with my brother today, who used to work at the DTC. So if any of you guys want to ask William what my brother said, to tell him point blank, the DTC is full of back office Wall Street people that help their friends. William heard it. He's got the information. You guys have calls with him. You can ask him. He'll tell you exactly what my brother said. He used to work at the DTC. It's full of all the criminals from Wall Street to back office people. They go there. It's like the nursing home for the old Wall Street people. They go there, get paid great jobs, do nothing, and actually help all the criminals on the outside. All right? So it's not this fancy place that we all think it is. All right? So, again, we're watching it. We see the manipulation. We can't stop it. But Patrick Burns always said guns and badges will end it. Well, guns and badges, I'm told it here. We know about guns and badges at Westpac and San Diego with the broker, Andy, who was defrauded by a short seller. The firm lost $4 million. They take it out on the broker. Who's the client? Obviously, he gives out the client to the FBI. And that brokerage firm is not helping GTI. They don't give a rat's ass about us. They care about their own ass. They got robbed for $4 million because the short seller walked away from the trade. Right? So that broker, Andy, got a lot of explaining to do and is giving up everybody. Right? So obviously, this will start getting around. If the FBI lead started from there, I don't know exactly where it's starting from, but I'm told that it's in motion and the investigation is in place. Maybe that's why the stock took off yesterday. Maybe someone knows they got served. I don't know. Okay, I have no idea the rhyme or reason. These guys will keep playing up and down. All they're doing is making, Wes has a team of people. Wes wanted to hire me and pay me daily to report. I do it for free. I didn't want the job. But again, they have all the information, the spoofing, the washing. We document it. I do it for fun. I didn't want to get paid because I don't want to be stuck at a computer every day watching this nonsense. Again, the people on the other side of this coin that are doing this stuff in finger motion and GTII or MMTLP, whoever did this, these guys are morons. They're all criminals. Okay? They can't trade their way out of a paper bag. All they know how to do is short it, sell it, and push it lower. That's all they know how to do. They can't even do it the right way. I told you before, if I was a naked short seller, finger motion came out this great news, I have the stock at $5, $6 today. Come on in, suckers, and then destroy it. They're showing you they can't let it go up. Okay? That shows you how stuck they are when they can't let a stock go up and have to manipulate it down. Okay? All they're doing is selling more stock cheaper, and we can all see it. Remember, I just told you, if I was a short seller, I'd run the stock up to 6. I'd be standing there pushing it higher for you and let the investors come in. That's why public companies should never put news out before the open. Always later in the day. Because if you put news out at 8 o'clock, the CEO is all happy, we got the news on the tape. The short sellers say, wow, this is great news. Stock closed at 2. We'll open it at $4. Let all the idiots come and buy it. And at the end of the day, your stock will be lower. Okay? It's the same pattern. Okay? Finger Motion did it today. The stock started to move up. Grudgingly went over 2. They pushed it straight back down and tried to offer it lower. The people that are buying this are well-versed on naked short selling fraud. They're not going away. They're deep pockets. Accumulation always leads to higher prices. I told you before, spikes don't make it work. Okay? Accumulation is the way to beat these characters. All right? The news that we need is coming behind it. We don't control it, but the power-ups, I'm saying it again with a deep voice, the powers that be in the front lines of this fight are saying the federal agents are here. Okay? Once they start knocking, you're going to see the rats start running and they'll all start talking. All right? No one wants to go to jail. J.P. Morgan trader, very wealthy, robbed everybody. You go into jail, now he's out there, I don't want to go to jail. No shit. So either he's going to have to turn state's evidence to give up other people, which is most likely. You want to stay out of jail, you got to start ratting on everybody. Once they get this group, you know, with the Alpine and Charlie Mayo and the Kramers, they're going to give up every client that does business at Alpine and every person they've done business with. The market makers, they'll grab the market makers, they'll all start ratting on each other. Okay? Because once you're faced with jail, trust me, they're all going to start screaming. I've seen the toughest guys in the world, toughest guys in the street. Once they get caught, they start ratting out everybody else, and they go into witness protection program. They don't want to go to jail. That's the same thing. The Kramers are walking around. We've heard rumors before that they're working with the federal agent. Could they be ratting out Alpine and all the clients and all the dirty tricks and all the LLCs that you see? We put them out there every day for you. Just look at all the LLCs these guys have. You know what? Imagine if a Kramer knew everything about Lynn, or if Lynn knew everything about the Kramers, or Kramers everything about Alpine. These guys all work and fall together. All right, so they all know each other, and once they start ratting, that's when it ends. I can't force the issue. We're not police. I went to the FBI twice already with records, everything. Okay? They told me to my face, another shareholder who's with me, told me to my face, we're not here to give out penalties, fines, we're putting them in jail, and I'm not looking for one person. I want the whole network. How long does it take? Too long for me. We've been doing this for 2.5 years. For those bashers out there who keep saying nonsense, we're the only group of people that went to the police, went to the FBI, put the truck in front of the SEC. We have proof from the depository trust. We have Charlie Mayo's phone call. Yesterday, some guy named Roger was calling the company trying to buy stock. I gave you his number. Okay? These rats are all over the place. They're amateurs. They're trapped. They're amateurs. They've been stealing for a long time, but they've done it to all these small companies where these CEOs, and I speak to many of them, MULN, look at that CEO, the highest level. This guy's building cars. He wanted to fight back, and then he didn't fight back. He didn't fight back. His stock went from 50 cents to 10 cents. And he still got great news. Where's he going? The only thing he can do is what? Reverse the stock. You don't want to fight back? That's what you get. Fight back, the only way you could. Anyone invested in a company that's not fighting back, and I can't tell you, I can't help you. I would stay 2 miles away from it, because if you're not fighting back, that means the CEO is blind to what's going on. You know, Frank DiBenedetto's done a good job. I met the guy, COSM, CNLV. It's a tough fight. He has to fight from an outside with management. We don't control management at these companies. We can educate everybody. Look at GNS. Roger Hamilton, great job. His stock had an average 90-day volume of trading 15 million shares a day. Where's all this volume coming from with this stock? 15 million, traded 9 million shares today. What did it have, a 30 cents range? Traded 10 million shares? Where's all this volume coming back and forth? These guys are watching trades. This is all a sham. The whole thing is make-believe. Right? The guy's fighting as hard as anybody else. All right, that shows you how broken the system is. I have a ton of companies that have reached out to me. I can't help them all. It's impossible. I turn them down. It's too hard. All right, I educate them. Trust me. Today, I gave John Reuter, I gave his name to one of my top reporters at Barron's. I hope she calls him up, because she's a top person. She worked at CBS Market Watch. Top person. I told her, call John up. It's the story of the year that will throw the SEC and FINRA under the bus, which they need to be. All right? She knows about GTII. I gave her John's story. Hopefully for the MMTL people, that'll come out. She's a big-time player, and I gave it to her. So we always try to help each other out. This isn't about us versus you. MMTLP is a stock that is locked up. You can't do anything about it. I know people that would love to buy into it now. You can't even buy it. You can't do anything about it. It's in the hands of the gods, as I say. The attorneys, the lawyers, everybody's in here, the regulators, everybody's here, the FBI, everyone's there. They're going to fix it. You guys are going to get paid. I don't know when it's going to happen. GTII is a stock that's trading in real time. And we're still watching the manipulation back and forth. It's insane. If you just look at this chart today, and again, Pete from Philly did a great job. He posted it. He explains it. He's a guy from the street. He understands what's going on here, and I appreciate, and I read all this stuff all the time. I know he's got his beef with the guy from the Journal, Charlie, what's his name? I forgot his name. He is a punch, by the way, Pete, if you're listening. Anyway, anybody doesn't want to stand up for investors and for public companies and to stop naked shorting and just settle a trade, to me, is a scumbag. Okay, I don't care what reporter you are. You keep your mouth closed or stay away from it or speak up for the people. All right? This is a disgusting crime. It kills cancer companies, food companies, you name it, military companies. I put them all over, or the whole rainbow of nonsense. They kill everything. No matter what you're doing, they kill it. All right? And guys like Charlie Gasparino, there are people that don't stand up and try to piss on you, whether it's a movie company. We all like to go to the movies. We all take our kids to the movies. What are you, an idiot? Why you live and drive it out of business? It's just a disgrace. GameStop. Let them build a business. Take a shot. Whether it works or not, it's up to the investors. But you can't have unsettled trades destroying public companies. CEOs, I'm telling you, have no idea what to do. When they go to their lawyers, all their lawyers say the same thing. Oh, keep your mouth quiet. Don't do anything. It'll work out. If you open your mouth, the SEC is going to come after you. All the lawyers say that to the public companies all the time. It's bullshit. If you don't fight back, you're going nowhere. If you're invested in the U.S. equity markets, it's complete fraud. Okay? It's impossible to read. Going up, going down. The only thing that people make money from is manipulation. You just go look at the Lynn Partners or the Kramers or Yorkville. They're posting record earnings. For what? They're smarter than Warren Buffett. They're smarter than anybody else. Charlie Mayo with his cigar in his mouth is smarter than everybody on this phone. These guys should be working at a gas station, a whole bunch of them. Again, they're so obvious what they do. All they do is hit a sell button and try to manipulate stocks down. Again, it's like putting stones on the witches back in the old day. They crush them. That's like the only thing I could match it against. It's the same pattern. Pat Byrne has some great charts where he shows us some supply and demand curves, and they show when the buying stops and the supply keeps continuing, the stocks all become penny stocks. I put up the Merrill Lynch rule, where Merrill Lynch, if you're not a $300 million market cap or a $3 stock price, everyone in the Merrill Lynch system has to sell the stock. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can have the cure for cancer. If your stock is $299 and not a $300 million market cap, you have to sell it. What does the shorts do? They pushed all the companies below that. Everyone in the Merrill Lynch system has to liquidate it. So Merrill Lynch actually helps the short sellers, pushing it down. Now, Merrill Lynch clears for a lot of people. So imagine Joe Blow Securities clears Merrill Lynch, and they own XYZ Corp. Let's say they own GNS. Hey, it broke $3. Everyone has to sell the stock. You can't have it here. Move it out of here or sell it. Most people don't want to move their accounts, so what do? They sell it. And that's how they kill these companies. They kill companies because people buy stocks on margin. I talked about my friend in ZYXI a while ago. Okay? I think it was XC, I forgot it. Oh, no, VUZI, V-U-Z-I, I'm sorry. He bought millions of shares at $9, $8 every day. He called Yvonne Hubler at FINRA. Calls her up every day. They're moving the stock down. I bought the stock down on margin. Every day I got to call my clients to put up more money. Stock goes from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6. How would you like to get a phone call every day from your broker? Hey, you got to put up more money. It's a great company, but the margin money, you got to keep putting it up. The short sellers don't put it up. How do we know that? Because we watched Alpine. GTI went to 9, and they didn't put up the money, and they got busted by the DTCC, and now they're in violations, and obviously they don't have any money to back up whatever they're doing. GTII, they put the 35,394 spoof at 161, so either they're going to cross it, or the next thing will someone offer 100 shares at 160, so that's the spoof, or they're going to wash it. Okay? These guys throw out these big orders all day long. They try to get people to panic, sell it. There's nothing but sellers. It's the same thing. What they're trying to say is we don't want the stock up on the day. Finger motion, great news. We don't want it up on the day. We want to discourage people from buying. No momentum. They're willing to sell more less, for less money, just to discourage the buying. But we're not going away. We see what they're doing. Okay, I told you before, they can't beat the world. I was in Malaysia. I met 2 shareholders that own GTII and FNGR. People follow those people. They follow us on Twitter. They're not going away. Malaysia, 2 people in Dubai I met, they own the stocks. Okay? They can't beat the world. They can keep trying, but it's not going to happen. The company, I guess GTII, they're waiting on this dividend from FINRA. I don't work for FINRA, I couldn't tell you. But again, they're giving out a restricted share. They know what they have to do. There's not going to be any way these are going to be free trading shares. And just like I said, at GTII, it was 35,000 shares at 161. They offer 532 in front of the 161. So if you were going to sell your 35,354, whatever that number is, if you put your order out there, anybody on the phone who has that size, you really think you're going to sell it? They're going to trade in front of you. That's what they do. So big pieces of stock are put there by the shorts to send a message. They want people to go in front of them and hit the bid, get out. There's a big seller. These are tricks done by traders from 100 years ago. So now it's 5,000 offered at 160. So the guy at the 161 is standing there doing what? Right? Nothing. You know what he's holding in his hands. He's standing here. What about my offer? They're going to trade in front of you. I would short it at 160 also all day if you're a real seller. I short it because the worst I can do is buy it back from you at 161. Right? That's what traders do. They trade in front of your orders. Right? That's the game. So if you sell it at 160 and I buy it back at 157, I can make 3 cents on 5,000 shares. I'll take it all day long. That's what these guys do. All right? So when you tell a stock and it's running, you put small pieces out there. You got 20,000, you sell 3, 2, 3, always up, and they'll take it. Once you put the big order, you're stopping it yourself, and they trade in front of you. So there they hit the 157 bid. Now it's 100 shares to buy at 156. All right? Now, if I want it out, it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to hit the 156 bid if I want it out. All right? Because obviously they're not letting you out. But that's the short by the short. There's nobody here. This is the short by the short making the markets. The 156 bid is gone, and now it's 155. And they move down to 159. All right? So this is just make-believe back and forth by the short sellers to annoy you, to push you home. That's what they're doing. I got it. It's not easy to sit here and say, my money was 176 yesterday. I should have sold it. They're telling you, jerky, sell it. Hurry up, sell it. Don't let it. Next time it gets to 176, you can sell it. You can trade it. Just remember, I'm telling you now, I've done it myself. Stocks I believe in, you get shaken out of, and then you're here for a story. You know what the story is. They con you into selling it, and then boom, then it goes. It happened to all my friends in GameStop. The highest we sold it was 118. Okay? I had guys that bought it at 3 3/4, sell it at 5, 7, 10, 12. They thought they were heroes. Then it went to 115. My last friend sold his stock at 118, whatever it was, and then it went to 500, and all 50 of them wanted to jump out of a window because the stock went to 500. It was a life-changing situation. I didn't know how high it was going to go, neither did they. That's why I always tell people when you liquidate a stock, make sales, small sales, all the way up, get your money off the table, and this way you can stay with something. Even if it was 100 shares, imagine selling 100 shares at $450. All right, that probably made more money than you're selling your 3,000 up 5 points. All right, so I'm just saying that's how the game is. We have the documentation, we have the proof, we have the FBI, we have Charlie Mayo's calls, we have Roger calling up yesterday to buy stock. There's all these signs of desperation. The quick drop today, these are all signs of desperation. Anyway, listen, hopefully they show up tomorrow. These guys have to go out with the jacket on their head and the walk of shame. But it's coming. I got it from the higher-ups. I can't tell you which day they step in. But again, that's what I know. All right, listen, everyone, have a good night. And don't look at the fraud all day. It drives you crazy. I'll speak to you later.
Yay! We want him. We want him. We want him. So let me find out. One of your audience is terrific. Let's see what she's saying. Well, there's she's pointing out that basically some of the executives at GTI sell 1% of their position every month. It's just set in stone, whether the stock's up or down. It's not a reflection of anything being wrong or not. It's a minuscule amount of what they own. So it doesn't say anything about the fundamentals of the stock. On the other hand, I wonder if we're in it for the fundamentals or for the squeeze. All right, I'm gonna study that last paragraph before I read it, but she does such amazing work. All right, so somebody asked me that it said that I spoke with Ham, therefore I owe you. Well, I'll just tell you, I heard about that FBI information that Ham just relayed, but I was told to keep it to myself, so I did. Now that he's mentioned it, I can mention it to you. Basically, the understanding I have is that the FBI is all over GTII and MMTLP, not the way FINRA always comes. They always come at the CEOs. The FBI's after the bad actors, the people that are defrauding America. I wanted to say that when Ham was mentioning Kurt Kramer, the one weird thing about Kurt Kramer, he's such a control freak. Well, I guess I can't say all, because maybe there's plenty out there that we don't know about, but all of the LLCs that we know about, he puts his John Hancock right there. So I think it's going to be easy to track down this arrogant moron. Let me see if I wrote something else down. Nope, that's it. It is hard to have faith in the feds. AC Cowlings, thank you. All right, so GTII closed at 158. Let me see what the volume was. All right. Yesterday's close was 170. They were able to get it down to 158 on 1,160,000. So I think I'm basically correct in telling you that for as long as you and I have been on the air today, it's about 100,000 shares traded. And when I say traded, that's the loose term of traded. This is just all back and forth. I don't know anything on GNS. There's very little upside for me to give my opinion on GNS. I do think a lot of the proper things are being said to join the fight against these voracious short sellers by the chairman of GNS. Well, Raymundo, I think they are desperate. That's how I'm reading it. I'm a little surprised they were able to hold it down today. I would have liked to have seen 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million shares volume and the stock closing higher than it did yesterday. But this doesn't damage it. As I showed you on that chart, the 50-day and 200-day moving average are just above here, and it makes sense that it pulled back from those levels. And I'm sorry to talk out of both sides of my mouth in terms of saying that the charts don't matter, but then talking about the chart, because I think in the short run the charts give you some guideposts, and I personally believe all the younger generation of traders, that's all they look at is charts. So you always have to try to understand what is motivating the buy and sell decisions. CPO Sharkey, I don't really have any news on GNS. And I'm trying to think where I can get some. I'll see if I can get some. Well, Financial Revolution, you're right. I'm a huge advocate. The only way to stop this is to cause massive losses somewhere. Then they'll come after everybody. I hope MMTLP Mr. KC brings change. I hope. Hey, Chloe Harris, how are you? Nice haircut. I was told that too late in life for it to make any difference. I was told that you really should always acknowledge that women's shoes and their haircut. Thank you, AC. John B. Real Estate, Ham's the man. Well, Millennial Collector, I don't want 4 years either. And I, as much as the fight is there, to go after the windmills, I don't really want to do that either. I just want to put it to them so you guys get financially independent and they have to take money out of their pocketbooks. And don't tell me they can't trace the United States dollar around the world. They can trace it all over the place, so they'll go get it. The 411, I don't know what that means. Hey, Zizu. Basically, Ham said that the FBI is after this now, and who knows who called them in? Maybe it was a senator or a congressman, or but they're there and they're going after this fraud. And Gary Gensler, as far as I'm concerned, could act like Elliot Ness and go down in history where you and your children remember his name. He could do nothing and be forgotten in the winds of history. Or it's possible, because he does nothing, he'll go down in infamy like Nero, playing the fiddle while Rome burns. He's a misguided soul. Oh, what did his brother say? I can tell you. Yeah, Herman, I think GTII has the potential to be enormous. Hamster Ham, yep. Hey, we want... Well, Millennial Collector, there's a guy, I put the picture up. I met him here in D.C., Gerald Salente, who I really respect. I've followed him for a long time. But he always says, when people lose it, well, he says it differently. When people lose everything, they lose it. What is Ham's real name? It's just an amazing coincidence. His name is Ronnie Adkins. Wow. Who would have thought? Yeah, Lena, I'm with you on that. Why the heck do we need these banks too big to fail? Let them go down. We can deal with it. If we have to tighten our belts for 6 months, a year, 2 years, at least we'll be rid of these conniving bastards. Hey, Barbara. That's it, millennial. I think that's right. Look, the price of GTII was all manipulated. So, I don't know if it'll ever go, Chloe. I think it will. And I really, if you had been listening, Chloe, over the last couple of days, my spider sense was tingling that it was about to happen. Right now. I'm not ready to say that it's not going to, but I would have liked to have seen today more volume and maybe even a bigger, a really big move up. Like, I would have liked to have seen 5 million shares, 10 million shares, up 50 cents, up $1. But I'm not saying that's not possible to happen tomorrow or sometime now. But, hey, Jennifer, what did they do to AMC? I'll look. No, they won't let Trump win. Amit B. Well, yeah, you'll meet him. The dividend cutoff date is today if they don't change the record date. So, unfortunately, wow. The small banks. I wish the small banks would stay. Well, yeah, Josh B., real estate. You probably know more about real estate. I go back and forth. Real estate prices here where I am are still strong, and when it's a house, it goes under contract within. I mean, sometimes maybe it waits a week or two, but mostly it's still under contract in a couple of days. But this might be a bubble. But in terms of everybody's mentality, I think we have to stop measuring our wealth in dollars or in any kind of fiat. Possibly the only fiat, I'm sorry for the noise, the only fiat possibly that could somehow survive all of this, to me, is the ruble. I'm a little leery of the yuan because China has some problems, although they have such enormous strengths that maybe they can glide over those problems the way we have. But maybe the ruble, maybe I don't think they'll make SDRs available to us. There's a guy out of Costa Rica, and I think his name is Willie, and he goes by Jackass. I haven't listened to him recently because there's just too many people, but I used to listen to him quite a bit. And he believes that the dollar is going to go up. The U.S. dollar is going to go up and then out of existence. But anyway, I don't think that's the way to look at wealth right now and when the panic comes. There will be a panic. If you saw that movie, I've used this example before, but if you saw that movie Back to School, where they're getting their classes, Rodney has his driver put up a sign, Springsteen. There was a time when Bruce Springsteen was, Usher or Cardi B, that disgusting singer. Anyway, so the scene, everyone rushes out of the hall, and then they can just go sign up for the classes they want. That's you. Because you know about all this. You may be nervous, but you understand it. When the panic comes, you're going to have an advantage other people don't have, because you're still going to be able to go sign up for the classes which you want, while everyone else has run out to see Bruce Springsteen. Well, soon they'll find out Bruce Springsteen's not there. They'll come back into the basketball hall, and they'll flood all the classes. But there'll be a window within which you'll be able to make some decisions. To me, what's important about wealth from now to when the panic comes, and then getting on the other side of that panic. It's going to be like a hurricane or a typhoon or an avalanche or a riot in the streets. The thing about panics, they're intense, and they're mindless mobs, whether it's in person or on, financial markets. They lose their mind. But it's energy, and it burns out. And then everyone's sated in their expression of mania. And things don't return to normal, but they return back to some level of calm. The energy is spent, basically. So, to me, the wealth decisions you have to make right now is what is important to you. And what do you think will be important to you when you're older? I'll tell you, when you're my age, your best friend when you're my age is yourself 20 years, 30 years younger. That's your best friend. No one you know. I had a dear friend who told me, if you die with 3 friends, with 3 close friends, you're lucky. Most of the people around you, particularly if you're a drinker and the people around you are drinkers, most of those people will disappear. Business associates, as intense as those relationships are, they'll fade away. There'll be memories. There'll be times you call them and say, hey, do you remember? So what are the things that are important to you, number one? And number two, to me, wealth is optionality. Wealth is being able, in all situations, to not be trapped, to be able to make a decision to leave, to go somewhere else, to get up from the table and go sit at another table. And wealth is not being controlled. It's being independent. And my own quirk on it is I enjoy meeting people and being around people, but I also at times want to withdraw. I think wealth provides that ability that you can expand your experiences. But to me, wealth also is being able to help people that you want to help, providing for your family, providing for people you love, making a young child smile with a gift, or making an older person that you have known, helping them out. So there's a lot of definition of wealth. But I'll tell you right now, the biggest wealth I see around me is that we're on this beautiful blue planet. I've got a dog slumbering here, a friendly animal. There's bumblebees carving into that guy's garage, but they're gorgeous bumblebees, green everywhere. You can hear the birds. That's wealth too. So I think non-wealth is being in debt. Debt, as a friend of mine in London tells me, is slavery. She says debt, because she's Spanish. Debt is is slavery. I don't know how she says it. It's very hard to understand. Debt. But it is. So act like a central banker on the one hand, and act like someone who wants to be independent on the other. So what does it mean? What should you do? I think you need to know you have to have a place to live. Do you have to own it? I don't know. I can't think that far ahead. But you have to be in a place that you feel safe and your family feels safe. Get to know your neighbors. Know your neighbors, your friendships. If you're reliable, they'll rely on you and vice versa. You're going to need somebody watching your back. Maybe more than one person. Somehow you have to have water, maybe solar, maybe a solar food cooker, a solar battery for your phone. You might need a radio because maybe the satellites go out, and just radio is how people are going to stay in touch. Personally, I think you need some movies and books that are real, not online, just to while away the time. But hobbies that you like, other things. Food for your dog, food for your cat. Anyway, I don't know how long to tell you that you need all that. First aid, tools. How long could the panic last? How long did Robespierre and the French Revolution last? COVID lasts 3 years. It's over. Apparently the chief scientist, Joe Biden, just signed into law that COVID's over. The emergency is over. So that was 3 years. So I don't know how long the panic will be, but I'd suspect it'll be a lot less than 3 years. But maybe you have to plan for 3 years. In terms of assets that I think make sense to own, it's possible that the stock market survives. It always has before. But I think it would be defensive stocks which are in businesses selling things that you want all the time. Drugstores, grocery stores. But that's if the systems still work. You got to check into that. Maybe some of these online stores will survive. You got to make those decisions. I think resource plays are going to be very important. And one of the things I think's important, one concept, for example, oil and gas companies, which cash flow. They have cash flow. Right now they sell their oil and gas in US dollars. Well, if the dollar goes worthless, or if the dollar hyperinflates, or that means the same thing, or if there's some quote unquote reset. Well, if oil right now, I didn't look, but if oil's selling at $70 a barrel right now, or gasoline selling at $4 a gallon, if for some reason those US dollars don't have value anymore, that gasoline is still going to be worth whatever $4 is in the new currency or the new medium of exchange. The barrels of oil, maybe they no longer sell for $70 a barrel cash flowing, but someone will buy them. Maybe they buy them for 10 SDRs or Bitcoin. I don't know. The point, though, is if you own a piece of cash flowing properties, that cash flow should still be worth something in the new system of commerce. I think you need to own it's moving up right now, and maybe there'll be a pullback, but I think the single asset you need to own is silver. But silver is extremely hard to transport. It's really heavy. But it has more uses. I forget, every missile, every Tomahawk missile has something like, I can't remember. I'm just going to admit, I'm making this number up, but I think it's what I remember. Has 8 ounces of silver in it. Might have been 80. Boom, gone. And gold, maybe platinum. Gold is a better thing to own. If you go to Mike Mahoney's website, which I think is goldsilver.com, might be Gold Money. I'll do a video and I'll tell you. He used to have red hair. Now his hair is starting to go like this. But he sells these necklaces and wristbands in gold. They're, if you give it to your chick, she's not going to go, oh, how thoughtful, because they're not beautiful. They're just gold. But you can put them on if you had to leave town. You can carry potentially $10,000, $20,000 with you around your neck, under your shirt. And that's enough. And when I say $10,000, $20,000, that's in a dollar-based system. Whenever there's another system, it'll have equivalent or better value then. And that's enough to get started. But you also need small amounts of gold and silver, because people won't be able to make change. My recommendation on that is a bag of old silver coins, a silver dime. Everyone will know how much silver's in that. You can fill your tank with gasoline and get the hell out of Dodge. But if you only have a 1-ounce bar of silver and it's trading for $200, $500 an ounce, you might have to give it all. There might be no change. You also probably will need to have paper dollars and the coins, because those might become a dark market, a black market currency. Maybe. You don't know. You're going to need something like that. I don't know. I can't give you much advice about guns. I don't know much about guns. I just know if you pull a gun, you better be ready to use it. And if you don't know how to use a gun, don't pull it. But I don't know much more than that. Keep your gas tanks full. Gas tanks full. If banks go down, you won't be able to fill up your tank. Keep your gas tanks full. Everyone in this country apparently drives around with a quarter or half a tank of gas. If everyone simultaneously panicked and went to fill up their gas tanks at the same time, the system would be drained of gasoline in a matter of days. And it would take weeks, if not months, to get the whole system chock full again. So keep your gas tanks full. Have 1 or 2 destinations in mind. I don't have one for myself, but see if you do. And maybe tell some people where you're going to go that you want to be with. Have a bag. I mean, literally. I just watched that movie Heat. I don't know why he went back. But he said there comes a time, De Niro's character said, there comes a time where you have to leave within 30 seconds, leave everything behind. Yeah, it might be that way. I'm particularly talking to those of you who live in cities, because cities could get really uncomfortable. And I guess my final bit would be, as you make money here in GTII, if we do, or MMTLP, use it as a transition to invest in things you know. Get out of debt, but maybe you know how to remodel cars, or maybe you know all about online logos. I'm making things up. Maybe you invest in those things that you know. Maybe it's as simple as investing in a farm which grows apples. There's apple trees, and there's water running through it. Or you go move and make sure you live near a rail yard or a port. Things like that. But try to think ahead what will have value. Human needs are always the same. Water, food, a little yum-yum, and something to do. Maybe transportation, something to wear, roof over their head. You know what it is. I think there will be investments, and maybe you do it outside of the stock market. Maybe you do it as private investments. To me, one of the brilliant investments you could make is in an oil and gas company or oil and gas properties. I still believe in the United States it's the best. I still think our protections are best here. But just to use the example again, let's say you can build your cash flow up to, you can divide this or multiply this, but maybe you can build your cash flow out of producing properties to $10,000 a month in an oil and gas investment. Now, it's going to be subject to decline. It's going to be subject to prices moving all over the place. Might be subject to wells watering out or just petering out. So you're going to have a schedule in mind of how you add to your volume of production. But just using that, $10,000 a month. Maybe it's $1,000 a month. Maybe it's more. If you're cash flowing $10,000 a month right now, you can live all right. And pretty damn well in most places. If the system changes and there's a cataclysmic panic and dislocations we can't imagine, well, as long as those wells are still producing in a country that's largely stable, which I think the United States of America will be, even if we split into red and blue, 2 blues and a red in the middle, even if we do that, I think we'll still be stable. And then that city in Georgia, somehow Georgia's blue. I don't know how that happened, but maybe Georgia stays blue. But whatever. The point is that $10,000 a month, it's not the dollars. It's the oil and gas that has value. Value. I found that material things I thought had so much value. Well, the $10,000 might become 10 bitcoins a month. I don't know. None of us know. But if you have that kind of thing set up, and you may not be able to get to some huge number, even if it's only 1,000 a month, 500 a month. It's going to be better than all the huddled masses and people with no plan of action at all. I would guess, I just thought of it, but I would guess you should get all of your shots up to date and your medical. And you need to be in shape. You don't, and I'm not in shape like I used to be. But you may have to walk 10 miles, 20 miles, and you got to be able to do it. Anyway, you can't think of all situations, but the main thing is if and when these monies come through, don't, in my judgment, do whatever you want to do, but I wouldn't spend it on, the newest muscle car or blow it on a vacation to Vegas, unless we're all meeting there and we spend a little bit together. And by the way, we're going to have each other. And I want to learn how to do this in the future, but I also want to learn how to set up a studio that'll have AM and FM radio just in case this doesn't work anymore. We'll stay in touch. But for a while, your goal has to be not necessarily to get rich, but to try to achieve independence and strength. So on the other side of whatever's coming, and I don't know when it's coming, it could be tomorrow, it could be years still. Martin Armstrong thinks the country, his computer says the country will split apart, I think it's in 2033. Who knows? But I would use these dollars to, you got to make the list. I would use it to pay off debt so you're not enslaved to the banks. And personally, I don't have it right now, but I would have more than one place that I could go. Because you don't know where it's going to be dangerous and where it's going to be safe. We can go further into second passports. I'm not sure that's 100% necessary. One of the beautiful things about the United States is we're an enormous continent, a wealthy continent, a lot of resources, good people, and we'll be safe here in North America, I think. But we've got to get through some of the insanity that's going on in the White House and Congress. Anyway, I forgot right now who asked me that. That was real estate, somebody real estate. And I don't know what to say about real estate. I think there's two questions. There's three questions. Is real estate a bond right now? Is real estate a bond, or is it real estate? Is it the value of what you could rent it out for, or does it have value all by itself? And you can get different answers. But as long as interest rates are going up, I don't know. Is real estate going to have the next 40-year run like it did just now? I don't know. There's some concerns that our population is going to implode. So I don't know. Is real estate going to continue to be valuable in cities? I don't know. I would think so, because when gasoline is expensive, you're going to want to walk everywhere. But if the cities are not safe, I don't know. So to me, there's a lot of questions about the long-term value of real estate. On the other hand, you have to live somewhere. So if real estate prices are going up constantly, then your mortgage is not going to get you in trouble. But what if values of real estate collapse and you owe 60% of your house as a mortgage and prices collapse by half? You're going to lose your house. So one of the things I think is you pay off your mortgage. However, there is an argument out there that if there is a financial crisis, they, whoever they are going to exempt mortgages from being paid back. So it might be the greatest win of all time is that if you're in a house, you may not have to pay back your mortgage. Or if the debt on that mortgage becomes de minimis because the dollar collapses, they may let you just pay it back that way. We don't know. I've heard equally convincing arguments that they're going to make sure that the debt on real estate, the mortgages, is revalued to reflect a collapsed dollar. I don't know the answer, but to me, if you like where you live or you know where you want to live, that would be one thing to do with any monies you get here. There's going to be a lot of items that won't be available for a few years. Nice TVs, possibly books, clothing, so maybe you load up on some of that. I don't know. I don't know. Those are my two questions on real estate. One, is it a bond? Is it a long-term investment? Two, should you get out of the mortgage or not? And I guess my third question on real estate is, what do you mean by it? Because if real estate's a condo made of stona or it's a farm, in the future, I'd rather have that farm. But farms are expensive right now. That's another thing. If you get money just now, don't necessarily think in terms of, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Just go buy what you need to be safe in the future, you and your family and friends. Anyway, that's a long answer to you, Mr. Real Estate. Woody, that'd be great. I'd love to go to Alabama. I'm not sure I've ever been to Alabama. What's a grit? Free college, free houses, free cars. I love this place. 23 eggs. Well, that's it. Also original planks to chickens, or imagine if you had food. Well, that's right, Jay Roach. There, Jay Roach, do you ever really own it? Martin Armstrong, to bring him up again, he points out in the future that governments are going to need revenue. And guess what? They're going to tax real estate. What's that, John B? Real estate? There are, and it was your question I was answering. There are trucking companies that will guarantee $4,000 a month after a 3-month vesting period for a 3-year term by investing $50,000 in one of their trucks. That is a pretty good deal. I like that deal. I can't say your name, go. Be kind to yourself. How are you? I don't know who Mike space Hunt is. Roger, Sergio, I don't know if it could be a fake name, but I think the order to buy was real. I didn't watch the video, Jack Mayhoff. Let me write that down. I did watch something one of you guys told me to do. I did watch something. Is this a conservative cope stream? I don't know. I'm a Democrat. But if I'm conservative, it's just because things have gone too far, I guess. Yeah, Sam, I think there's going to be at least one, if not two, generations of people that do not invest in the stock market anymore, and that will be Gary Gensler's legacy. Do I want a tissue? I want a rubber biscuit. Yeah, going to Vegas with your money is not recommended unless we all gather up to meet each other. Well, that's it, Honey Badger. We we're all used to our time on our phones, and imagine if our electric grid goes down. You know, for 20 years, we haven't invested in the things China has, even Russia has, Dubai and Southeast Asia, parts of it. You know, we've bombed, we've destroyed. It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away everything he had and everything he's ever gonna have. Hey, Frank. Roger is the guy that... Roger Hamilton is who Ham mentioned. Hey, Pecos Bill. Fact. I wonder which fact it was. I wonder which fact it was. Well, Mark Ashley, if our system collapses, nobody will use gold or silver. My fear is, Mark, unless you keep your mouth shut and can explain how you have the gold and silver, it's going to be taken from you. And so you're right, maybe guns and bullets, water and canned food. I would tell you, Mark, depending on how bad it gets, cigarettes, maybe gum, but cigarettes and those little bottles of booze or bottles of booze could buy you, hey, I need you to help get my car out of the ditch. Canned food, I agree. I'm hoping this doesn't turn into some The Road by McCormick type dystopian nightmare. I don't think it has to. Hey, Phyllis Todd, thank you. Happy Easter to you. Mark Ashley, I don't know what somebody asked me about wealth, Mark Ashley. That's what the hell the talk was. And I got going. That's good. Plan for 3 days, then for 3 weeks, then for 3 months. Yeah, start somewhere. Oh, I meant wealth characteristics, not necessarily real estate, but rather learn discipline, patience, not always needing more, knowing you have enough, providing for loved ones. See, John, I should have had you talk. You would have said it better. I read somewhere, and I think I told you, and right now I'm forgetting where, is if you get up each day and acknowledge, be thankful for things each day, you start realizing that you can live on less and that you have enough. I'm name dropping Kim Kardashian and Cardi B. I don't really like them. I'm every now and then, if the camera angle is right, Kim is striking. There's no question. But they're not my type. Available. Wealth of the Spirit. Will the stock split reduce the price? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no planned stock split in GTII. I'm glad you added on the dip. Aman, I don't know what's happened to GTI's listing on Upstream. My own view is Upstream is focusing on the companies that are a part of CEO Block. They already have GTII under their wings. It's just one or two people there, so they don't have a lot of time on their hands. So I think they're focusing on going and getting as many new customers as they can before they come back to their existing customers. Jennifer, who's Nikki Minja? I'll write that down. Nikki Minja. I don't know who she is. Back to school. Hobbs, I learned it. I learned it late in life, that advice. Wish I had known it. Hey, Honey Badger. Thank you, M. Casey. I think there would have been more buying. I'm not sure. I think partly there was no announcement on the dividend, so that meant there wasn't buying. I think it's all manipulated. I think there was a lot of buying. So anyway, I did talk to Ham's brother, and he started, or at one point worked at Merrill Lynch, where I started, and then he worked at the DTCC, and he said that the DTCC, I might have written it down, part of it. I didn't, I'm not a stenographer. Back of the roller. What do I mean by that? Back of the bottom of the barrel, back of the something, and the lowest of the back of the bench on Wall Street. They send them to the DTCC. It's like an old age home for Wall Street types. They don't get anything done, he said. They just don't get anything done. So, but the main thing that he said, which was important in our context, is they have friends at the hedge funds, the brokerage firms, everywhere. And so if the FBI is indeed coming after the DTCC and FINRA and maybe the SEC. In other words, if the FBI is doing a full-on investigation of this kind of securities fraud, and we don't know enough about it. I mean, all I know is what Ham said today on the call. They're going to start telling their friends, and that's how a stock buy-in happens. We already know GTII has this huge short position, or did, in November, and there's no indication it's been covered at Alpine. So anyway, the point is, it's a closely connected world. They'll call their buddies. They'll protect each other. They don't want to lose their jobs. If I'm a Democrat, then I'm a communist. He's a right-wing boomer. I don't know what I am. Disaster porn. No, I'm not. I mean, Spiny, what's my type? Taken. No, that's not necessarily true. It's just indecisive. I don't know. In the event of a dollar crisis, how do you see the euro? I think the euro's in more trouble than the dollar. I don't think money is the thing. We've had a blessed 80 years, 100 years. When you go to London, you live in London, which is a first world country. It's changed with some of the modern properties. But in general, you rent a luxury apartment, you go to a hotel, the bathrooms are small. Rhode Island could kick their ass in a war. The showers, you better get it over with quickly because it's going to go warm or cold, and they're just kind of soft. There's no North American showers. It's changing. There's some. Anyway, our lives could change a bit. But I'm not trying to give fear porn, or whatever you called it, disaster porn. I am suggesting to you, and maybe I got off track because of real estate's question. It's not his fault, my fault. That if you have a windfall out of these investments, the stock market is no longer your father's Oldsmobile. Real estate is probably not your father's Oldsmobile. Our lifestyle in the future probably won't be your father's Oldsmobile. And I was trying to give some of the ways I try to look forward. You have your own ways, Spiny. But just don't blow this money. It might be the last windfall that we can generate before very difficult times in the United States and the world. I hope not. But do you have confidence, Spiny? Would you rather that I give La La Land everything's going to be great? I don't know. Cat's on long legs, fit and trim, 50-something that loves animals, nature, and laughing. Sounds good. Sounds good. As long as the laughing is at my jokes, it's a perfect fit. Davialio, 3 men hunting. Hotel equals 30, 10 each. Clerk, mistake, should have been 25. Bellboy went to refund 5 and figured no way to split, so he kept 2 and gave 1 back to each. Men paid. Where's the 1? Well, they each paid 10. Should have been 25. So then they each paid whatever 3 into 26 is. I don't know what 3 into 26 is. The best busboy kept... No, sorry. They each paid 10. The refund was 5. So they each should have gotten $1 something back. I'm getting lost in my thinking. Busboy. So you're at 28. Sorry, you're at 28. So they each paid 3 into 28, which should be easy. They each paid $9. And the busboy kept 2. Nothing's missing. Busboy kept 2. They each paid 9 smackers. I don't see anything missing. There you go. Lincoln's Ghost comes in. How was the play? Comes in and kind of rescues me. Having lived overseas, Europe and the Middle East, I agree. The U.S. dollar is something we need to understand as fluid, transient or fluid. Oh, I knew what you meant, Middle East. So let's see what time it is. 4:58. I won't necessarily quit at 5 because my dog's asleep. The weather's nice, but I want to see I want to see some of the baseball scores today. Cardinals leading the Rockies. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 and 9 is 18. Plus 9, oh, that's 27. Hey, baby boy. How are you? Let me use my calculator because arithmetic is not my strong point. So it was 30 smackers, 5 back, gave him each one. So it was 25 plus 3 is 28 divided by 3. They each paid $9.33. So I don't see what's missing. And the busboy kept 2. Anyway. All right. It seems like I've worn out my audience, which is not a smart thing to do. All right, Joseph Kurtz. This may be a dumb question. I doubt it. If you're asking it, somebody else is. Do you think it's possible the SEC doesn't or won't crack down on naked shorting because it provides liquidity, but the hedges and their buddies need? Absolutely. Absolutely. The SEC is captured. FINRA is captured. And the reason they let this go on, there's a lot of reasons. But in my judgment, Mr. Kurtz, if you can start, just to keep it really simple, if you can start with one account, Grandma Kelly, this is running out of juice, throw that one away. If you can start with one account at Goldman Sachs, worth $1 million, $1 million, one account, and just say that's the whole system. 30 years ago, the way the system, the Wall Street made money, was to invest her money in IBM, maybe some bonds, and take a commission. Well, then Wall Street discovered that with Grandma Kelly's account, they could charge a wrap fee. %. They could charge Grandma Kelly a wrap fee on her million, 1% of the 3%. They'd charge her, so $30,000 a year she'd pay just to have her account at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, 3% a year. And then 1% would go to the brokerage firm, 1% would go to the wealth manager doing nothing, the broker, and 1% would go to the fund or the money manager. Now the money manager would further subdivide her well-earned revenue. She would get the 1% per annum, which is a discount of of down from the 2% she would normally charge. But then the returns that she'd give back to Grandma Kelly wouldn't be 100%. She would keep 20% of the profit. So Grandma Kelly would get 80% of the returns. Grandma Kelly would get 80% of the returns on her $1 million that the money manager was able to provide. She'd get 80% minus 1%, 1%, and 1%. So she'd actually get 77% of the profits generated down here. Now, if there's a bad year, there's provisions for all that. But let's just keep it simple. So she ends up with 77% of her money. So I should write 77%. Well, what's Wall Street making on that account? What's Wall Street? The other thing is they can trade. There can be trading commissions here, but this is net of any commissions they get for doing in-house products or doing IPOs or doing a mutual fund. We'll ignore that right now, but that's also part of what Wall Street can make. So what Wall Street makes is, out of Grandma Kelly's $1 million, Wall Street makes the 3%, which is $30,000, and they make if you include money managers on Wall Street, they make the 20% of profits. Let's say her account makes $100,000 in profit, 10%. So they also get $20,000. And let's just say the trading and commissions, I'll make up a number. Let's say that's $30,000. That's probably high, but let's say it's 25, just because it's simple. So Wall Street is capped out on that account in a good year on $1 million asset. They make 75 grand. It's pretty nice. Now, in this case, that asset next year is worth $1.1 million minus the 23%. So it'd be Grandma Kelly would have whatever, $1,070,000. Now, Wall Street's going to give you a bunch of glossy pictures saying, that is great, Grandma. It's too confusing. You need a beta and the alpha, and what's your gamma, and, they're going to confuse you. So just trust us, and we'll provide the role of making sure you don't lose money. Meanwhile, they're making 75 grand on that account. Well, the brokerage firm wants to make more money, but this is the only account in the world. The broker wants to make money, but this is the only account in the world. And the money manager wants to make money. What can they do? Let's say Grandma Kelly's account is 1,000 shares of Exxon at $100. Her account is 1,000 shares of Exxon. They were making 75 grand a year on it, but they want more. More. So, the first year, someone gets onto a clever idea. We can lend out Grandma Kelly's 1,000 shares to someone else, and then instead of having one account worth $1 million, we can have two accounts worth $1 million out there. So they lend it out. and they have 2 accounts worth $1 million. They've just doubled assets under management. And you know, Pecos Bill is going to notice that my calculations are always rough, so he'll have to excuse me. But they've taken the Grandma Kelly's account, they've taken the 1,000 shares of Exxon, they've lent it out, and now they've doubled their earnings. They've doubled Goldman Sachs's earnings from 75,000 to 150, and they've doubled the number of assets in this small universe. Well, I went to Harvard, and I drink at bars, and I want to make more money. What could we do further? Why don't we rehypothecate? Oh, that's a big word. What does that mean? Well, why don't we just start trading stock, putting stock in people's account as if it really existed? We'll write a contract against these shares, and we'll rehypothecate them. We'll collect fees, and instead of having 2 million shares of Exxon, I'm grossly exaggerating, we'll multiply each of these into 2 million. So all of a sudden, through the magic of rehypothecation, you've got 4 million shares of Exxon. There's only 1,000 shares that exist, but you've got this, and you've increased your earnings from 75,000, well, in this year 150, to 300,000 this year. Actually, you've probably increased it because of the stock loan fees by another $5,000 in each account. But let's call it 320. It keeps going. It keeps going. Now, I know this is a ridiculous example, but that's what the system has become. And the brokerage firm doesn't have to do more work collecting assets. The broker doesn't have to find more assets, really. And the money manager is collecting fees, and the prime broker comes in and collects fees. What gooses it all? Money printing. And guess who owns the central bank? Guess who owns Treasury? Janet Yellen collected $6 million in fees from the banks. Of course, she would never be. She wouldn't have. So anyway, absolutely, the SEC is there to obfuscate so that we don't recognize that assets under management have been expanded fraudulently. Commissions have been expanded fraudulently. Stock loan desks have been expanded fraudulently. And it's all based, in my example, on one grandmother's account. Well, they're doing it all based on your accounts. Because you, not you personally, me too, we've said, oh, we should put it in a money manager. It's all going to come to an end. Because when you're levering up, like I just showed you, you're levering, they call it. That's another word just to confuse you. When you're stealing and doing it on a leveraged basis, it's great when there's free money and money flows like wine. Would you be my Dixie chicken? If you be my Dixie chicken, I'll be your Tennessee lamb. We can go down in Dixieland. I can't remember the words. Great song. So as money tightens, the reverse is hell to pay. So anyway, that's my little example of why, yes, the SEC is hiding this. That's why Gary Gensler focuses on anything but settlement and closing out the failure to deliver. Because the system, and if you want to be simplistic, Goldman Sachs makes so much money off of it. And the criminals at the bottom, the lowlifes like Kurt Kramer, they're taking advantage of it. But it's the big boys who are mainlining this criminality, in my judgment. All of this is in my judgment. I don't think there'll be any halts in GTII. That's it, Joseph Curse. That's exactly and I'm the only one saying it, so I don't want you to take the risk of saying it. But I believe they've created fractional reserve securities markets without anybody's permission. They took the model of fractional reserve banking and they did fractional reserve security custodialship, fractional reserve assets under management, fractional reserve security ownership in your accounts. And they did it without anyone's permission. The problem is gold with specie, which was the original reason for the fractional reserve banking system, when you had to move gold from Florence to Amsterdam to buy the latest tulip bulbs, you had to cross Italy, France, maybe some other little countries, Luxembourg, before you got into Holland. All along the way, there were people ready to steal from you. So what the banks learned is we'll give script. So the Bank of Florence, Gold Bank of Florence, gave script to the rider. He could take to the Gold Bank of Amsterdam and say, here, I need 100 ounces of gold to go buy my tulip bulbs. Honor it? Fine. Well, the original bankers noticed that when they gave out the script, lots of times no one came for the gold. The Bank of Amsterdam, in my first example, would have sent a courier or something for the gold. Or they would have another script that when another fellow traveler went down to Italy, they just swap them out. But they noticed that a lot of the gold was just sitting there, even though they had put out script. So they came up, basically, they noticed a 10-to-1 ratio. So the fractional reserve banking system is supposed to be 10-to-1. I understand now that if you all, me too, asked for 1% of the assets in the banks, they would all collapse. So it's probably even higher, because the greed knows no bounds. It's my opinion. I haven't read it anywhere. It's my opinion that what some clever banksters figured out is that when you have type 1 accounts and type 2 accounts, that people don't come for the physical shares. We can lend them out, we can rehypothecate them, but most of the time they don't come for the shares. And even more, if we can convince people to buy ETFs and buy managed money, we can borrow against those shares. And I think there were a lot of banksters out there that noticed, similar to the 400 years ago banker, that there was a lot of securities just sitting in the vault no one was asking for. So they made them electronic. They made it expensive to nearly impossible to get back into the electronic system once you get out. They made it so that lower price shares, like Cam was talking about, no one buys them. That's a side issue for the shorts. But I believe that the U.S. financial securities system hums along just perfectly while your account statement is printed and it says you own 1,000 shares of Exxon, and so do 20 other people own 1,000 shares of Exxon. When it's a reverse pyramid, there's only 1,000 shares backing all that up. But it's all okay, because you're not going to ask for your shares. You get the dividend. If there's any trouble, the banksters just pay out a cash dividend, or they go find it. If more than 2 of you want your shares back, they'll go buy it somewhere. It's a cost of doing business. But that's what I think the security system. I think it's all fraud, and I think it's going to collapse, and it's frightening, and that's why I think the SEC is what word? I think they're hiding it. That's what I will say. I've got to change my tune here a little bit. Hang on. We all shine. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. It should be okay. Yeah, Jay Roach, the banking system is designed to ultimately implode. It has no choice. I think it was Bill Clinton who got our budget into the positive. That lasted all of about 6 months, and then G.W. Bush came in and gave money away because the system relies on expanding debt. I think the SEC is culpable. That's it. What they are in the background. I don't think there'll be any halts. When will Finn Germayas? Are you talking about Kaiser Soze going long? He has no clue. Channel has become a sideshow of hopeism. 0 of these people who will bash me have been here 3 years like me. Pushes some crap. I don't know, Michael. I hope that's not against me, but if it is, I appreciate your view. I think the dividend record date remains Friday. We'll find out. We didn't hear anything. I agree, MKC. It is planned. But I'm not sure that everyone on Wall Street understands it. I think it's those people on Wall Street that with a nod and a wink go along with it. If you show any hesitation, you don't know about it. What is upstream? Upstream is well, one fix it. If the dividend is going to come to fruition on Friday, they better approve it by then. Otherwise, I guess it's a moot point. Fritz Flappy Ears, Upstream is a exchange outside of the United States regulatory system. It's on the MERJ exchange. Which is based out of the Seychelles Islands in the Indian Ocean, or at the edge of the Indian Ocean, off the east coast of Africa. And Upstream is a blockchain exchange. It needs money. It's new. But the idea is to catch out the system. I don't think Moody Waters, I don't think the SEC would be the one to refuse the special dividend. I think it'd be FINRA. I don't think that there's any basis by which they can refuse the dividend. But to help their buddies. Well, they might refuse it to keep the system from collapsing. Tony A1, Ham knows something big is coming in a couple weeks for GTII. Well, I don't know what you're referring to, but I think the big coming, the biggest things coming would be the two-pronged items on the FBI, or the Trento mine, or 1-800 law firm, or a digital dividend given on Upstream, which you can get in Europe, and you can actually buy and sell if you're based in Europe. Giving a distribution of that lawsuit, of the potential proceeds of that lawsuit, to each shareholder. So those are all big. But Tony A1, I agree, or Tony Al, sorry. I do believe something big is coming. And Ham is the man. They're tulips. These are tulips. And they don't get any sun, so I might have to move them. They're tulips. Oh, did he say that, Brian? No? No reverse split in vocal? I think it's about... No, I'm not going to be facetious. I think that's a great decision on his part. There's no reason for a stock split. And the one thing about Frommer is he digs his heels in. He's not, if they say, well, you're going to get delisted, he'll say, so what? He'll take it down. No, it's great. If there's no reverse split, that's awesome. You can buy a share of those tulips. I don't have Upstream, though, but if I have a lot of shares, if it's granted, will I get a dividend? You're talking about GTI. Yes, you'll get the dividend. Fritz, flappy ears, what I'm about to say is not confirmed, but I believe that the restricted share dividend will come into your accounts. And then you're going to be asked to ask your brokerage firm to transfer it to Liberty Stock Transfer, to force your brokerage firm and all brokerage firms to go locate real shares. But I haven't heard that's what they're going to do. That's just what they did, what GTII did with the warrant as a special dividend 2 years ago. So I assume they're going to do it again here. We'll find out. That's one. I don't think that'll be on Upstream, that portion of it. The warrant that will be distributed as a piece of the rock, so to speak, of Wes's lawsuit, that I think is going to be done on Upstream. And yes, you'll get it, but it'll probably involve that same dance that I just described. moving all of your shares to Upstream would guarantee you get it. The point is, Upstream is blockchain. They can't create something that's not on the chain. And the further point is, the United States regulators of the United States security system do nothing about these crimes. So it's left to the companies to try to trap out the system legally. When I was describing to you, someone got what I was saying. The difference is between a fractional reserve banking system and securities. Gold, specie, or dollars, fiat, they're interchangeable. They're fungible. But stocks are not. Securities are not. And they were pulling the wool over the system. But a CEO, they all go after the CEOs. They don't go after the Kurt Kramers or the Jeff Eastons. But the CEOs cannot sign off on their financials without knowing how many shares are out there. You buy shares from Kurt Kramer. Kurt Kramer doesn't give a prospectus. The SEC, if I started a company and I sold stock to you without a prospectus, use of proceeds, how many telling you everything? The first time I might be able to be like Kurt Kramer, hey, I didn't know. Second time I go to jail, but I bet it's the first time I go to jail. Yeah, James Pack, my best friend is my dog. Nobody loves me but my mother. And even she's. Nobody loves me but my mother. And even she's. I can't remember the rest of the line. I love that one, Fix It. I will give you each, to one person, I'll give a certificate of these tulips. I'll send it to you, facsimile, for $10. And then I'll get on another channel and I'll do it again. And then I'll get it on another channel, do it again. I don't know, it's some sort of, it's Cezanne, but it's some sort of still life. I liked the red. I liked the red, is what I did. I saw this guy a couple of times. This means copyright strike.
Nobody loves me but my mother. And she could be jiving too.
That's what it is. Nobody loves me but my mother, and she could be jiving too. It's B. Wild. I don't know who B. Wild is. I don't know. You're asking me questions. That's it. You knew it, True Blue. Nobody loves me but my mother, and she could be jiving too. All right, it's 5:30. I think I might call it quits because we're starting to spin our wheels. My mama loved me, but she died. HUD. Aw. What does jiving mean? I don't know. Interweb pleb. I think it's pretty obviously what jiving means, but jiving is fast talking in a way. All right, One Fix It Man. Thank you, everybody. So it's a life-changing stock, Zizu. I agree with you. Well, you might not have to do the transfer for the stock to squeeze. That's the thing. We're gonna leave our dividends on the table in return for outsized gains on our stock. Tony Al, you're the best. Tony Al. It must be like dealing with a dumb brother or something. Thank you, Tony Al. Partly it's my eyesight. My eyesight is, I can read. I've always been blessed to be able to read without glasses, but there's just a slight, I don't know. Every now and then I go, wait a minute, what is that? Right now I can see it. I can see Tony A1 and I can see Tony Al perfectly clearly. All right, so guys, I'm going to call it quits, and I thank you very much. I still feel like we might be in the middle of it, and we'll find out. So peace, love, and happiness. Cheers.